Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls coming to you from the West Coast. Today I wanted to share a card that I made. It was inspired from our February card challenge. In the February card challenge, Gaz put together a card sketch, which this was my card, and you can watch that February challenge if you want to see how I made this particular card. But I decided I wanted to use that sketch and try and sort of adapt it. And this is what I came up with. This is using the Almost Alice paper collection from Papers by Michelle, and then some toppers and a sentiment from Graphic 45. And then some embellishments that came with my Almost Alice collection from Papers by Michelle. But this hopefully will show you how you could take a card sketch, change just a little bit, and come up with something completely different. As you can see, my card blank's a little bit bigger. This is the card blank that I had, and I love that paper, so I want to show off a little bit more of it. But the idea is very similar. I've got my single topper element here, which is, sort of about 2 to 3 inches right there. I've got sort of a layered sentiment across the bottom. This one's layered on vellum on vellum, so it gives you a little bit different look than, vellum on cardstock. And then you've got, instead of 3 sort of strips down here, I've got 3 other embellishments, in this case the hearts, falling just like Alice is falling down through the rabbit hole. So anyway, it's built from this sketch, but just kind of changing things up a little bit. Love how it came out, and let me show you how it's made. I'm going to start with the top. Well, first we'll start with the background paper. So it's just, this card is 5 by 6.5, and I just cut a matte layer of the red mirror card, and I just gutted it because I don't like to waste my card. And then this is from the 6 by 6 Papers by Michelle, Almost Alice background papers. And that's going to go on there. But first, I put a layer of vellum just flat over the whole top of this page because I wanted to mute that pattern, because when I put my topper on that pattern, I felt like it just didn't stand out enough. Even if you raised it up, it still felt like it just didn't stand out enough for me. So I have a Xyron machine that I use with my vellum. You can use double-sided adhesive, sheets, or anything else, but I love my Xyron. So I'm just going to peel that off and put it right over the top. And the only bad thing about double-sided adhesive or anything is you got to get it right the first time, because if you don't, you can't really get it off. So that's pretty darn close. And you can see it just mutes that pattern. So when I put my Alice on top, I'm going to raise her up, but it's just going to stand out just that much more. Okay, so that's going to go on there. Then as a background for my sentiment, I've got another piece of vellum that I'm just going to layer on top, and that'll just give me one more layer of sort of muting that pattern. I didn't want to cover up the pattern because I think the paper is gorgeous. But, and then to give this just some interest, I've got this stencil that came with my Almost Alice collection from the Papers by Michelle. And I'm just going to kind of give it a little bit of red with red ink just through the stencil, just for some visual interest. And you can see it's already on my Xyron sheet. And I don't want it to be perfect, or I want it to kind of be sort of just a little bit of a pattern. So you can see it, and I'm going to put one more in here. But you can just use your ink and your stencil to just create a little bit of visual interest. Because it is on vellum, it does take a long time to dry, but I'm going to do my best here. So I'm going to peel that off, and we're going to put this on just right near the bottom, and see how it just adds that little bit of a subtle pattern. And that's what I was looking for, because then when I put my sentiment on there, it just adds something, just a little bit. So let's build our card. I'm going to raise this and my Alice up with some dimension, and I think I'm just going to use my 3D Collal glue. And we're just going to put this, I'm going to put it mostly in the middle. And then my Alice is going to go right here. This sentiment and the Alice are die cuts from, let me get it on here and I'll show you where they came from. These are from Graphic 45, ephemera assortment. It's called Curiouser and Curiouser, which I thought worked perfectly with my papers from Michelle. And I dropped my glue, so I made it kind of a bit of a mess there. So try and rub that off. Okay. And then I've got a few little embellishments here that came with my Almost Alice collection from Michelle. And I'm just gonna, so there's a little key, which I thought was adorable. I'm just gonna use, again, my 3D Collal glue to put on there. And then I've got these little hearts. And on the, as I told you at the beginning, I was sort of inspired by this, the card layout or sketch that we did as part of the February card challenge with Gaz, and that Gaz put together for our little group. And I was sort of inspired to use this collection to do something very similar. But instead of putting the, so I've got my small sentiment, my layered sentiment at the bottom, my not a sentiment, my topper in the middle. But instead of putting my 3 little strips of card, I'm going to do 3 little hearts, just sort of in a cascading pattern. So similar idea, but just they kind of go with the idea of Alice falling. So we're going to put those on there. And that goes with that sort of sense of motion of Alice falling down the rabbit hole. But it gives you the same idea as the 3 elements there. So a very different take on the card sketch, but built from the same ideas. So hopefully this shows you how you can take a card sketch and just build from it to make it a little bit different. Hope you like that. Thanks for watching.